Testing 1, 2, 3. Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel. It is May 14th, 2018. I always am very cognizant of the dates in May because there's a lot of things going on. Tomorrow is May 15th, which is my wedding anniversary. 19 years tomorrow. So it's a big one. Well, I mean, but you know, next year, 20th anniversary, we've got to do something special for that, I think. Melody graduated on Saturday, which we told everyone about. It's been a week of events, right? There's that. Then the cruise dates changed, so if you missed out on those, if you're going on the cruise at all, well, the dates changed. So this is not on us. This was a cruise ship. There was just someone bought the whole ship out, so we had to move everything. But the good news is that we've had very few cancellations out of the deal, and we able to get $100 of room credit for everybody and a picture for everyone. So we got some stuff out of it, and possibly if you're watching this now, you can come on the cruise. I talked about Dice Tower Retreat last week, but I'm not talking much more about that because I have so many responses to that there's no reason to push that. But Dice Tower Con is only a couple, less than a month away, is it? No, a little more than a month away. So sign up and come on out to Dice Tower Con. It's going to be fantastic. This week, I'll be at Geekway to the West. I'll be in the Colossal Games booth, so come by. I'll be teaching Western Legends there and hope to see you guys there. But I'll also be wandering around and stuff, so hopefully I'll bump into some of you there. Okay, so I'm going to answer questions. Now, you might notice that I'm not on Twitch. I'm just going to be using YouTube for the foreseeable future for Q&As. We'll be using Twitch for gaming more, and also, you know, when we need quick back and forth responses from you guys. And we're hoping that we can get better streaming for that, because when we're streaming to both at the same time, it doesn't work as well as we'd like it to. So just YouTube today for questions. Did I say 2019 in the title? Oh, I said 2019 in the comment. The thing says 2019. Oh, yeah. Well, I can change that real easy, I think. Let me see if I can do it here. Info and settings. And it says live Q&A 2019. I don't know why 2019 was on my brain there. There we go. Fixed it. All right. So anyhow, how did we celebrate Melody's graduation? We went out to eat. I bought her a computer for college. She was pretty pleased about that. I didn't get her any flowers, and she didn't say anything. And then I took her to the Apple store, and I said, "I think this is better than flowers," and she agreed. So there's that. Where did we go out to eat? Oh, Red Lobster. I just bought Near and Far a couple weeks ago and played it a bit, and it's quickly become my favorite game. Would you think Above and Below would be a good purchase as well? Well, maybe, but I like Near and Far much, much more than Above and Below. How will the new cruise date affect the Kickstarter campaign? It's not going to affect it as far as I can help it. I mean, I'm still going to be running the Kickstarter in January, so I'm just going to have internet on the cruise and keep one eye on it. It should be in the middle of the Kickstarter campaign, so it shouldn't be too bad. Will you do a Rudiger Dorn Best of Designer Series? Fancy you should ask that. That's coming this week. Will Double Trouble be put on hold indefinitely? Yeah, probably. I mean, if Melody comes back and we play some games, sure, we'll do some of those. My friendly local game store recently stopped carrying Dice Master, saying it was waning in popularity. Is it true? Well, for sure. If your store said that, it's definitely waning in popularity there. Is it waning in popularity across the board? I guess. I don't really have numbers either way. What do you think about the Spiel des Jahres nominations for Game of the Year? All right, well, that's a good thing to talk about. So let's dive into that. So the nominated games for Spiel des Jahres, let me take a look at them. Okay, so for the Kinderspiel, Imojito, which is a silly little game. I played that one. Funkelschatz and Panic Mansion. I played Panic Mansion and reviewed it. This is actually the first time since this award has been announced, the Kinderspiel, which is for kids, that I played 2 of the 3 games. So I'm feeling pretty good there. The third one, I'll hunt it down. Spiel des Jahres is Azul, Luxor, and The Mind. So we'll start with the odd man out. Not the odd man out, but I think the dark horse in the race, and that's Luxor. That is a Queen game. I'm the reason that my eyes are going that direction is because I'm looking at it, sitting right there. But I haven't opened it. I mean, it just arrived just a few days ago. I don't know much about it. So there's that. The Mind, this one has been getting a ton of love from different people in various situations. So no surprise there. And Azul, come on now, that game is super popular. Now, what will win, Azul or the Mind? Probably Azul, right? Because it's just that popular and that huge. If it does win, it would blow my mind at how Plan B Games has come from nothing. I mean, well, they started, right? They sold everything to Z-Man Games, which, I mean, they sold Z-Man Games completely to Asmodee, and then turned around and have 2 huge mega hits right out the gate. And and if this one wins the Spiel des Jahres, that's amazing. That would be the game I would vote for of the 3, but I haven't played Luxor yet. Kennerspiel is where things get a little weird. Kennerspiel is a more complex game. So we have Heaven and Ale. So a Kiesling game, I played it. I think it's okay. It's very dry. I mean, it's drier than the driest thing you can think of. It's a dryer sheet, essentially. But it doesn't mean it's a bad game. It's decent. Ganz Schön Clever, I'll be reviewing this one next week. I just recently got this. I played it with someone. I said, this is a pretty fun roll and write game, so I got it. I don't know. It's just weird to me. If this is considered the gamer game, it's not that gamery of a game, I think. It just seems weird to have this one nominated for it. It's good, but yeah. And then the other one, the Quacksalber von Quedlinburg. It's interesting that is designed by the same guy who did Ganz Schön Clever, who also did The Mind. So he must, the Spiel des Jahres jury must really like his stuff for sure. They also gave a special award to Pandemic Legacy Season 2. So there you go for that. So it's interesting. I mean, I think the Spiel des Jahres is fine. I mean, I would have been shocked had Azul not been on it. And once I see how popular The Mind is, and just also not that surprised to see The Mind on there. Luxor, I don't know anything about. Queen Games often gets a game in the nomination, so there's that. But the Kennerspiel was more of a surprise to me, especially with all the really cool games. But again, you have to remember this award is a German-centric award, so these games might be extremely popular in Germany. All right. Do you have an opinion? Well, this is a very biased statement, so I'll do this. Okay, so do you have an opinion on the Scythe revelation? So what's going on here is the artist for Scythe, Jacob Rosalski, whose artwork is beautiful and gorgeous, and was the main reason people, went to the game in the first place. I mean, the game is also an incredibly well-designed game. So it's come to light recently that he is using other artwork or photographs to get his art done. Now, some people are accusing him of tracing. Other people say he's just looking at it and drawing it. I can draw a stick figure, so I'm not really up to date on art. I don't have any strong opinions on this one way or the other. It is a little bit of an indictment when you look at some of the pictures and then you see them flash in and out with his drawing, like the one with the pigs especially. I mean, it looks almost identical. But I don't know if that's like frowned upon. Is that a bad thing to take those pigs and put them in his own picture? I don't know enough. Jamie Stegmaier seems to be okay with everything. And it looks like the internet's kind of 50-50 split on this one, which is unusual. Usually there's like, I'm not so pleased that people are jumping on it with the pitchfork and torch, because even if he did something wrong, I mean, we should at least give anyone a benefit of a doubt first before jumping down someone's throat, I think, is the wise thing, because we don't know all the details of everything that went down. It's interesting, and I'm following it and reading up about it, but I don't really have a strong opinion either way on it. Again, because I'm not an artist, and I'm not really quite sure about not just the legalities of it, but what the ethical parts of it are also. I really like to hear more artists speak up and tell what they think on the subject. PAX Unplugged still happening? Yeah, they just announced it last week, actually. Can we get a more comprehensive explanation of what happened with the cruise? We spent a lot of money. Well, sure. But just as a heads up, I spent way more money than you did. Whenever you sign a cruise, there's always a clause in the contract that somebody can buy out the whole ship. It almost never happens. And when it happened to us, they said it didn't happen. There was nothing we can do about it. The date got changed. We had literally no control over this thing. It got moved. Now, they gave us extra money. I think the whole thing is a pretty good deal. I'm not thrilled about the date change, right? I originally didn't pick January. I picked February. It was my call to make the date. But you didn't spend a lot of money because you will get your money back if you decide to cancel, right? So you don't have to come. Secondly, if you're moving airplane flights or whatever, they will reimburse you for all the changes in the airplane flights. I am not trying to make this a pain for anybody. We have done everything we possibly can in this regard, and I kind of resent that we are just willy-nilly changing the cruise when we very specifically told you that it was the cruise line that did it. There was nothing we could do about it. I hoped against hope it would not happen. They gave us warning. They said it might happen. We were like, oh man, we hope not. But it happened. But the end result is, hey, we got you $100 credit for your room, and it's still everything else about the cruise is exactly the same. And some people were able to come. For the people who had to cancel, I am so very sorry. But hopefully they will be able to come in the future, and no one has lost any money on the deal. No, I don't know any Canadian slang. Are you still playing Shards of Infinity? No, I'm currently not playing any game right now. I'm doing a Q&A. If there was an Iron Chef for board game designers, what two designers would you want to go head-to-head? I wouldn't want to watch that or be involved with that. I know it sounds weird, but I think designers, they come to their ideas sometimes on a very long, sometimes they're quick, but to go into a thing and say, design a game, that's not interesting to me. You are forcing someone to come up with an idea and design a game. That's not something that I'm really that fascinated with. I want their best game. So if it's the one that comes to them in the middle of the night or one that they've worked on for years and years, that's what I'm more interested in, not something that's kind of like in a kettle. Okay, you have these components, you have this, make a game. I don't care about that. I just want a fun game. Will you have any time to play during Geekway? Oh, sure. Okay, for a lot of people asking about Geekway and stuff, I had some people email me about eating and stuff. I always, when I go to conventions, keep my schedules as clear as I possibly can, except when I have a whole lot of meetings. So if there's a meeting I need to make at a convention, I do so. But at the Geekway, I'm going to be at the Colossal booth, and they'll have me there at scheduled times. I'm not exactly sure what they are yet, but I'll be there at certain times. And their booth number is, I asked them what it was so I could say it right now. Their booth number is 27. All right, but the rest of the time I'm free. I'm free for all my meals. I'm free for gaming and such. But I'm not scheduling it now. It's one of those things where I'll be there and you'll be like, hey, we have this game you want to play? And I'll be like, yeah, why not? Or I might go, I don't feel like playing that game. Totally up to me. Or you'll say, hey, we're going to go eat. Do you want to come with us? And I might be like, I already ate. Or I might say, yeah, why not? That's how I handle conventions, and it's a whole lot less stressful for me. Do you think someone like Hasbro may do a Disney and step in and buy Asmodee? I really think that we don't have any earthly clue who is thinking about buying Asmodee. It could be another group. I'm just not worrying about it. Here's the deal, and I know this is maybe a bit controversial, but if someone bought Asmodee and then just shut all the games down that they made, that would be a little upsetting, right? Because, man, I like Ticket to Ride, and I like, a lot of these other games out there, but we would still have a kabillion other games to play. So for people who are woeing and dooming the industry, this is what it is. We don't know. And so I saw people like, oh, what if Hasbro buys them? Look what they did to Avalon Hill. Yeah, they modernized Avalon Hill. Avalon Hill was this company that was getting junkier, and their games weren't that good at the end. They were a great company, don't get me wrong. Avalon Hill was fine and put out a lot of games, but their subset of people who liked their games was getting smaller and smaller. They took their games and they started a completely new genre that's still popular today with Richard Borg's Battle Cry. They tried unique experiments that didn't work, like the collectible Stratego. They came out with a game that people still rave about to this day, Star Wars Queen's Gambit. They brought Acquire back in one of its nicest versions. They brought Cosmic Encounter. I think Hasbro did a pretty good job with Avalon Hill when they brought it back. And anyone who says no is just kind of being nostalgic and stuffy. So maybe they would do the same thing. Who knows? But in the long run, it will have repercussions across the industry for sure, right? But it's not going to destroy gaming. The sky is not falling. And we still don't know all the details, so there's no reason to worry about it. Are there changes in the board game industry you do not like? Probably. There's always elements of the board game industry that kind of dig their heels in against changes. I mean, changes are coming, right? Kickstarter came. I don't like everything about Kickstarter and all the things it's doing, but it's here. And there's people out there, that are trying to stop Kickstarter and stuff, and what are you going to do? You can't actually stop it. And there's going to be changes in distribution and other things that are going to change as time goes by. But that would be, I guess, maybe a change is that I'm more worried about people who are not accepting of changes. There's always going to be changes and radical things that happen in our industry, but we just have to move along with them. Do you prefer convention food or local restaurants when traveling? Who prefers convention food? No one likes convention food, right? The only time I eat it in a convention center is when I have no other choice. So, like, for example, when I do the convention next week, the homeschooling convention in Orlando, Florida, it's me and Melody at a booth, and we're there for like 9 hours straight. We will probably have to just take turns and run and get the convention food there. That's probably not that good, but that's just the way it's going to have to be. We will, so be it. But if I am at any other convention, I have a chance, I always go out and get food. Except Essen, I do like the convention food there. But the local restaurants are better. I just like the convention food. Let's see here. I decided to travel to Essen, they says. My very first convention ever, and so excited. What's the best way to ensure my way to the possible Dice Tower Live show? Dice Tower Live show is happening, and we'll do it the same way we always do it. We hand out the tickets at our booth first thing that morning of the show. Last year, they all went within an hour or so, and so that's just the way we've done it. It's worked well in the past, and it's the fairest way, we think. Am I going to play Pillars of Eternity 2? Yeah, I might. Does it pick up where the first one left off? I haven't read much about it. I don't even know if it's out yet. I just know that there's an existence of it. I'm very interested in it, of course, because I really liked Pillars of Eternity. Any chance to meet you at the Dice and Mystic event during Essen Spiel this year? Yeah, I'll be there for sure. Do I worry at all that the Kickstarter exclusive market might hurt the local gaming store? I do not worry about that, no. How did Melody is her name, by the way, become 6 when she was 2 months old? It's a really long story, but it wasn't that she got sick. She almost died. She was being watched by a babysitter, and she had shaken baby syndrome, which you can read up on that. That can almost kill you. And so there was a lot of internal bleeding in her brain. She was in NICU for a while, and we didn't know. And then the doctor said to us, hey, she might have permanent brain damage from this. And then they checked her, and I said, everything seems to be okay. And then years later, I found out, no, she's lost her sense of smell. But losing your sense of smell is easily the least worrisome sense to lose. Easily. Better than her sight and everything else. So we're glad that she is, because again, she could have died during that time frame. Let's see here. Do you cook? Yeah, I do. What's my signature dish? I don't know. I make a pretty good beef stew, but I also make shrimp and sausage. And I also make a good fried turkey. I do like almost the whole Thanksgiving dinner. I do the stuffing and the turkey and the mashed potatoes and the corn and, well, no, my wife does the carrots. But yeah, and then I usually cook on holidays. What was your favorite experience at CMON-Con? I had a lot of good experience. I wasn't there very long, but I played a game with some gentlemen whose names I've all forgotten, and I apologize. I played a game of Lorenzo Il Magnifico, and everybody was having a lot of fun, a little bit of trash talking there in a game that was, you know, it's like a Euro-style game, but that was fun. But I also had fun. My very first game, we played a game of, we played half of a game of Council of Four. I liked both those games a lot. Did you play League of Legends at any point? No, I don't think that's my style of game. I'm not interested in it at all. Are you in a bad mood today? No, I'm sorry. I just get very adamant on some of the subjects and things that get asked. I apologize. I get very, you know, you know, you can do that sort of thing. Sorry if it comes across as a bad mood. I'm in a really good mood. I've got so many videos done today already. I've recorded 12 videos as of now. I came in early and we got a lot of stuff done. I'm being very productive today. I don't want to lose this productive streak I'm on. As soon as this live Q&A is over, boom, I'm going to go back because there's a lot of stuff we got to get done. When will your review of Rise of Queensdale come out? I would imagine maybe June. That's probably what you should look at right now. Do you know where you got the hourglass that sits on the shelf behind you in some shots? Yeah, I got it on Amazon. That's actually the answer for almost everything that sits on the shelf behind me, except that pig. This pig, and I got several of these animals. There's a place nearby me that sells this sort of things. It's one of those really weird stores. It's like a world store. It's in our outlet mall. And you go in there and you smell incense, and there's statues of Buddhas and crucifixes, and it's kind of all this kind of weird vibe, right? But they also have cool little statues of animals. And they're fairly expensive, but some of them get tiny nicks in them, and then the guy sticks them on a cheapo table, and then that's when I go buy them. And that's why I have a pig. Also, I think a pig is funny. But like this, Amazon. This, Amazon. This gong here, Amazon. I just bought a couple things to put on the shelf behind me. If you ever have anything that you'd like to show on that shelf, you can send it to me and maybe I'll stick it there if it looks cool. Am I looking forward to the Han Solo movie? Meh. I mean, I'm interested in it, but I'm not that excited about it. I'm kind of looking at it like, that looks cool. What's been the response to the Dice Tower Retreat? It's been insanely positive. I need to, we have way too many people who want to come. How does a $100 room credit work? Well, I would ask Royal Caribbean about how that works exactly, or Jason, because he's in charge of the cruise. What do you think about the Spiel des Jahres nominations which were released today? Oh, I already talked about that. Sorry, I thought you were asking about earlier ones. What goes on at a homeschooling convention? Well, a bunch of people get together, and there's booths and people who are hawking their wares. Of course, you're going to see different curriculum booths are going to be there, and colleges will be there, and people like, here, use this as educational, things. And then there's different seminars. This is what I do. There's a lot of seminars and things. Basically, it's very similar to an educational conference, the teaching conference, very similar to that. We were very fortunate, right? We're part of a homeschooling organization, and that got together with a bigger homeschooling organization. And Melody was part of a class of 24 seniors that were all homeschooled, and we got together, they rented out a church, and everyone came in. It was really, really well done. It was really nice reception. Everything was really, it felt like she was part of a full school doing it. We really liked that. You can, if you go to my personal Facebook page, you can see a little video of when Melody came up, because each student was allowed to speak, and or their parents were allowed to speak, and so we briefly spoke cried probably more than spoke. But, there's that. The new D&D is good. They're talking about back to Avalon Hill, but what happened was everything died except D&D. I don't think they died. Those games still exist. They're not gone. Maybe, they stopped making those games, and they did phase out the Avalon Hill brand where it is essentially now just Axis and Allies, but that's because other companies have picked up the slack. That just happens with companies in general. Sure, Hasbro has a tendency to not print stuff, but for a while they printed some amazing stuff like Heroescape and Battle Ball and Clue DVD, and there was some really good stuff that Hasbro was doing through their different brands. And so I'm not upset about that happening. The big heavy war games that Avalon Hill is making, Columbia Games and GMT have picked up the slack there. There's always going to be something. Is your booth at S going to be bigger and will it be in the same spot as last year? I don't know either answer to those questions. I apologize. Will this be your first time in St. Louis? Yes, I've never been there before. Are you running a Dice Tower booth at the homeschool convention, or is there something else? Sure. If it's for the Dice Tower, it's for the Dice Tower. Are you going to be there to promote incorporating games into homeschool curriculums? No, we have a new domain name, gamesandeducation.com, and I'm going to be promoting that and handing out those things, and I'll have some games there. And we're going to teach people games and say, hey, and if you want to learn more about these games, listen to the Dice Tower. That's kind of the shtick that we're going to go with there. Can one mail good quality used games to Dice Tower for the annual auction and deduct from taxes? Is Dice Tower a non-profit? The Dice Tower is a not-for-profit, yes. You can donate games to the Dice Tower for our auction, for sure. You can email me and I'll put you in touch with the people who are in charge of that. I'm talking about our auction at Dice Tower Con that we do. The one that we do in November through Board Game Geek, you send out the games yourself. Whether you can deduct them depends on the value of the games, and I would have to talk to the Jack Vasel lawyer. I'm not sure exactly how all that works. I don't handle that part. Why are you going to London instead of Huddersfield before the UK Games Expo? Because from what I understand, and I've not been to Huddersfield, but that the worst part of London is better than the best part of Huddersfield. That's what I've been told by general people. So that would be why I would imagine. Is it unusual that so many of last year's CMON new releases were on clearance this year at the Expo? No, because I'm pretty sure every company has that same thing happen. Fantasy Flight runs a sale every year of their games near Christmas time or whatever for really cheap, and those games are pretty hot just a bit ago. Some games are hot and stay hot for a while, some games are not. Most games are not. It's a scary story about your daughter. Yes, a lot of people are talking about that. I don't want to get into it much more than that, but the whole thing was a long, drawn-out process, involved a lot of things, and also took about 4 or 5 months out of my life. It was the worst time of my life, hands down, even more so than when Jack died. Again, I don't need to dredge it up. I don't think it's everyone's business, everything that happened in that regard there, but it was all resolved. It was actually one of the main reasons we went to Korea at the time, because we went right after that happened. And like I said, the end results were very good. But that's pretty much all I want to talk about that for now. Maybe I'll tell the whole story sometime, but probably not. What is the pig's name? Well, that pig does not have a name. That's just the pig currently. Tom, you've been through a lot with all your kids. I wonder do you look at the little problems with a different perspective? I don't know. You always think that, right? It's kind of like first world problems in general. I could say, man, the internet's down right now. It's really infuriating. And someone's like, do you know there's people in the world who don't have clean water and have a hard time eating? You're right. This is just a stupid first world problem. It's still irritating, though. That's kind of how we are, right? And so it's the same way with kids. Yes, big things have happened in my life, as they will happen in many people's life. But that still doesn't make the little things like, man. But Jimmy has shown signs of learning his colors yesterday, so that was a good event. No real plans here? No, I don't want to take the chance of bugs getting in the house. I mean, we live in Florida, so why should I invite them in? I'm just going to have fake plants. Besides, that means I don't have to water it. There's also that. And who cares? They're just nice little background dressing, that's all. What's the most addicting iOS game that you play? My iOS gaming kind of goes in spurts, right? So I will play something for a while. Like if I get into one of the Final Fantasy games, I'll play those for a really long time and then kind of get out of them and play something else. But right now, the thing I play the most on the iOS, and I don't play a lot in the iOS because I'm so busy reading. Okay, so last current update on my reading schedule. Last time we talked, I was finishing up the Mistborn series. Well, not finishing it up, but finishing up whatever they had printed, and they were good. So then I was like, all right, I'm in this zone here, this Brandon Sanderson zone. What else has he got? So now I read The Way of the Kings. So there's 3 books in The Way of the Kings so far. I finished the first one, and what a humongous book that was. Gigantic book, and the world building in that is amazing. See, most fantasy I read, there's a lot of similarities, right? They're like, look at this weird thing that this culture does. And I'm like, oh, these are like, there's so many cultures and they're all done well. And then I read that this is supposed to be a 10-book series. Robert Jordan all over again. But apparently the first 5 books are like one chunk in the second 5 books. So I'm like, all right, 3 books are done. But the first book was good. There's a lot of philosophy in it. There's a lot of world building. There's a lot of characters who kind of showed up for a chapter 2, and I thought they were fascinating. And then didn't show up at all, again, for the rest of the book. And I wonder, like, did they mean something for the end? There definitely was a book that has a beginning and an end, but the ending is not satisfying. You couldn't just read that book, I don't think. Great ending, though. Spectacular stuff happened at the end. And really cool characters. There's 3 main characters, and they all have their flaws, and they're all good, and it's just really good. So now I'm in the middle of the second, well, I'm at the beginning, I guess, of the second book. Whew! And I just want to read that all the time. But for apps, I play Plants vs. Zombies a lot these days. That's kind of like one of the things that I play. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll play Zen Pinball. They came out with some new Jurassic Park tables for Zen Pinball, which are pretty fun. Looking forward to the Ant-Man 2 movie? Yeah, I am, actually. I'm not going to see Deadpool 2, probably. But Ant-Man 2, I'm certainly interested in. Any chance for more videos with Jason? Well, he sent in a video about the tabletop day experiences, so that we'll be playing that this week. And I keep getting on him about the shelves. I said, you know, people would love to see more of your gaming collection, just one shelf at a time. How does graduation work for homeschooling? Well, you got to do certain things. You got to pass the GED, which Melody did do. She also, every year we have her take some state tests to make sure that she's staying up to where she's supposed to be with her class. Melody does extremely well on these tests, very well. We're not going to say if she's better or not than her father, so just assume she's not. So then we can issue the certificates all we want to her, but it's that GED that you need for college and things like that. Are you planning to buy Mario Tennis releasing towards the end of June? You know, I went on the Switch the other day. I was going to get a new game for the kids, and I couldn't find anything I really wanted. They had Donkey Kong Country, which I was interested in until I found out it was the same one for the Wii U, basically. And they fooled me once with Mario Kart. You ain't going to fool me twice. I'm looking for big, grandiose games that we can play over and over again. Like everyone's playing Breath of the Wild and Mario. Those are both really fun, and I'm playing Skyrim. Those are 3 huge, marvelous games that will last for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. That's the kind of game I'm looking for, and I haven't found anymore on the Switch. Dice Tower ice trays. That's an interesting thing. I wonder if you can get custom ice cube trays. St. Louis Zoo is awesome. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of awesome things in St. Louis, but I'm literally going there. I'm arriving this Wednesday night, and then I'm going to be at the convention for Thursday and Friday, and most of Saturday, and leaving Saturday evening. So I won't have a chance to go around. I don't really want to go around and look at things anyway. Not that I don't like to go around and look at things, but when I'm part of the Dice Tower, when I go on these trips, I'm going on these trips. They're business trips. They're not necessarily sightseeing trips all the time. I'm not with my family, so I want to make sure that I can get home as soon as possible to spend some of the week with my family. Oh, Daniel, if you're watching this later on, if you look up Schwarzkopf, SCHWARTZKOPH on Board Game Geek, you can send him a message there, and he'll walk you through the stuff if you have anything for the Jack Vasel Memorial Fund auction, or if you have questions. And Daniel does a fantastic, amazing job with the Jack Vasel Memorial Fund. I am glad I got to go to Korea. Korea was a fantastic thing, and there's great things. It was really funny in the graduation. The kids and their parents kept quoting different things. They were quoting all sorts of things, like Michael Scott from The Office, and I was like, that seems like kind of a weird person to be quoting on the graduation. But I thought about getting up there and be like, and my dad always said, act right or you're going to get in trouble, or some like dumb quote, but I didn't do it. Anyway, one of the quotes from The Office that I enjoyed was, "I wish you knew when the good old days were, so you could enjoy them more at the moment rather than talking about the good old days," or something along those lines. And I like that. I always thought about that. How do you know when you're in the good old days? And sometimes me and Laura would look back at Korea as the good old days, because it was just an amazing time. Especially as there were some years there, I went and I taught at school, then I would go and hang out with friends and evenings and spend time, and it was just a great time. And I always look at Korea, and if you ever have a chance to go do something like that, folks, take that chance. I'll never regret it. And I met some of the best friends in my life there, as one of them just said, Ted Shin. Great guy there. He also has excellent taste in music. Where's Chief Sokotoa today? Neuraxia 432. Probably. I don't always have my calendar synced up. I have to use a special device for that purposes, but I think he's there. Last we talked, there was the Flophogamogus invasion of the Tarax monks. And while the monks are okay with a lot of what's going on there, if a Zhuk monster gets through, it's a tough thing. So that's Chief Sokoto's specialty, one of his many specialties is dealing with those. I just went to Games in Education. I'm sorry, Games and Education. Games A&D Education, sorry. Are you going to do a review of the new Jurassic Park board game? Yes, that's coming next week. It's on my schedule for then. I just found Secret Aardvark Habanero Hot Sauce. I don't think I've ever had that one. Sounds good. Let's see what else we got here. Bugs in Florida are the size of rats. Not really. There's a lot of bugs here for sure. How do you deal with humidity in Florida with your board games? I don't keep them outside. Let's see here. Again, I'm not answering every question. I forgot to say at the beginning of this. So I'm going to go through just picking questions that are pretty interesting here. My 14-year-old is reading the Wheel of Time series. If we consider to read Mistborn series next. I like Mistborn better than Wheel of Time. But it's not as grandiose. Well, it is grandiose, but it's not as a gazillion different characters. The Way of Kings is more comparable, and oh my goodness, that just such great world building. How does your rating system work? Oh, I rate games that I like a lot high, and I rate games that I don't like much low. Why do you mix between numbers, seals, and thumbs? Because it's fun. Why do you think Adventureland doesn't have the recognition it deserves? And this person thinks it's a fantastic game. I agree. It just is what it is. You know, I don't ever get upset about that. People seem like they latch on the game. This game should be more popular. Sometimes they just aren't. But the fact is I got a copy of it, and I love it, and I can't wait to play it. And that's what makes it fun, because I don't really care if other people, if not everyone else loves a game as much as I do, so be it. But I had a fantastic time playing it, and so are you, obviously. When will Dice Tower News be back? Well, Dice Tower News, and you're talking about the audio channel, it's currently, I just don't have anyone who's willing to do it. So I'm going to just need someone else to pick up the slack and run with it. I need basically someone who's willing to put it together each week. It's a thankless job to some degree. So that's unfortunate, but yeah, we'll get it up at some point. Worth trying to fit in Warbreaker between reading book 3 of Stormlight as some characters cross over. And don't miss the Edge Dancer short story set between 2 and 3. Alright, what's Warbreaker? I don't even know what that is. Any interest in Red Dead Redemption 2? No, I mean, probably, but I've never played the first one. I like that sort of thing, but I play on the Mac. And I play games on the Mac, the iPad, and the Switch. So if it doesn't fit on one of those 3 platforms, I don't get upset. I'm not like, I just don't play them. That's all. I'm sure there's fantastic games on many different systems, but in life you can't have everything, so those are things I don't have. I probably would have. Oh, that's true. You don't even need a GED and ACT score. Melody took the SATs too, so there's that. How could we play games with the Dice Tower gang at the UK Games Expo? You got to be in the right place at the right time. That's really what it is. We're going to be a little stretched a little thinner because Sam's not going to be there. Just me and Z. So I have a scheduled game that I'm playing with people because of the Dice Tower Kickstarter. So that's one way. And I'll play games with folks if I catch you when the booths are closed and at night and I'm around and it works. I'll gladly play a game with you if it's the right place, right time. But that's how it works with all conventions. Did you hear about the Switch annual subscription? $20 a unit comes with 20 NES Classics. Yeah, I heard about that, but the fact is that my kids are not really that interested in the NES Classics, and I like some of them, and other ones of them I play them, I'm like, yeah, these are cool, these are great games, and I'd rather play the newer stuff. Overcooked for the Switch is a recommendation. Maybe. Let's see. Have you watched Cobra Kai? I watched the first episode. Haven't watched much more than that. I'll get around to it for sure. Let's see. Are you going to do a new top 10 co-op games with Sam and Z? Didn't we just do that at the end of last year? I feel like we did. So not anytime soon, no. Tom, you said in the past that you get some really good artwork at Gen Con. Are there specific vendors I should look for? So this is what I do. And, there are some people who I go back to time after time, and I honestly don't remember most of their names because I only really look at it once a year. I just walk slowly through the art section. I take my time. I go through, And I just walk and I look at all the art on each side, mentally thinking about which booths I think are more interesting. Then I go back to those booths and spend more time. I don't want to look too closely at each booth because I always feel bad when I look at someone's artwork and then don't buy any. So I kind of just walk and look at it, and I walk through all of them and make some mental notes and stuff, and then I go back and we look at them, and then we think about it for a day. If it sells out within a day, so be it. But usually they don't. And then we come back, and because Melody's usually there, and we decide which ones we like the best and bring them home. Movies have a box office which tracks ticket sales in the U.S. and worldwide. Do you think we'll ever see a board game version to truly track sales globally? That would be cool, but all the publishers don't want you to know that information, so probably not. But there's also a secondary party, right? So if I could get game stores, like movie theaters will tell you their ticket sales because they don't have any tie to any of the movies. Board game stores, you'd have to go to board game stores, not the publishers themselves. And there's so many of them, and some of them don't even keep good records of what sells or not. A distributor would be a good way to tell how many games of something sold, but they probably have agreements with publishers not to do that. And in other words, I would be shocked that something like this could be pulled off, but I would be just as fascinated with it as you. Let's see here. Will you ever film top 10s in the back porch again? I don't know. I might film back there at some point, just me. But one of the things is and one of the reasons we've stopped filming on the back porch was because we finally got this studio set up, the one that I'm in right now. So we have the studio set up and all the wires and everything is in here. And to do the back porch, we'd have to drag everything back there. So we might do something back there at some point. If I can run a wire back there maybe that we can plug into. But I don't know that we'll be doing a ton of it. It's a great background. It's great. I might do some reviews and stuff out there at some point. But I'll need to get another camera that we can move back there. Any dish or food that I had to visit Florida for that I won't find anywhere else in the States. In America, you can find anything anywhere, so probably not. Down here, the chicken chop is the main thing that's down here that I don't see most other places. Let's see here. Tom is a cheeky one today. I'm so sorry. I know they're getting a little big. I'll try to work on that. Let's see here. Sorry, I don't mean to make fun of your question, but this person says, "Do you know a cool store in Orlando for buying board games?" Yes, Cool Stuff is in Orlando, and there's I think 4 different locations. Look them up. Cool Stuff, board games. What's my favorite alien from Cosmic Encounter? I believe I did a top 10 aliens. If I haven't. Yeah, no, I know I've done a top 10, so you can go check that out. No boot camp for the Mac to run Windows. No, I don't feel like going to all that effort just to run video games. I know I was like, it's super easy. No, it's not super easy. It's a pain in the neck to set all that stuff up. I'm perfectly content. And the fact is I don't really miss these games, right? I'm not playing video games all the time because I play a lot of board games. And you got to kind of keep one eye on your time and what you're doing with the time that you have. And so I found that by doing that, by not constantly playing all the latest and greatest video games, I actually have more time to do other things like board games and reviews. You should try Octopath Traveler and Switch sometime. The demo was amazing. Oh, I'm sure it's amazing. I'm really looking forward to it. But I don't want to try the demo. I'm just going to go get the full game when it comes out. Let's see here. Do you have a particular philosophy when teaching games, a method or pattern that you typically use? I always start and explain to people what they're trying to do, even if it's generic as trying to get the most points to win. And then some basic things. So let's say I have Council 4 in my mind right now because I just played it. So if I was teaching a game, I'd be like, all right, we're trying to get the most points in this game, and there are different ways to get points. By putting these travelers, these merchants in cities, and getting them in the same cities will give you these tiles, which give you a lot of points. Or various other ways where putting a merchant in, you can cause a little chain reaction to get points. Those are the two main ways to get points in this game. So let's talk about the actions that you have on your turn. And then you explain exactly what they can do in their turn. You don't have to explain every little detail. I found out here is you can also do a couple other actions on your turn. So here's your 4 main actions. You can also do a couple other actions. I'll explain them when it's your turn. There's no reason to explain everything before the game. So you take your turn, and if it doesn't matter about going first, I always go first, and then I say I'm doing this, this is why I'm doing this, and then I'm doing this. That's your turn, and say, okay, this is what you do at the beginning of your turn. Here are your choices. They make their choice and say, also, just so you know, you could do this, this, or this. It's up to you. And I'll give strategy, decent strategy. I'll be like, yeah, most people don't do that in their first turn, but you're welcome to do it if you want to. Things like that, and after a while, people get it really quickly that way. Doesn't work with every game because all games are different, but that's the way I found most games work well. If we could only afford one Dice Tower event, what would you recommend? Cruise, Retreat, or Con? It depends what you're looking for because they're all very different. They're in different locations. They're different places. They're all going to be fantastic. I saw that you got the Role Player expansion in the mail. Have you got to play it and is a review coming? Yes, and tomorrow. Will Melody be on the cruise? No, because she'll be in college. So, no. Can you please get a rubber scorpion and set it up behind Sam and Z when they do Q&As? I like to do little jokes and stuff to people, but I would never mess with, I don't know how Sam and Z feel about scorpions. I'm, at this point, not very pleased with them myself. I don't know that I would play that kind of joke. If I knew someone was afraid of something, so let's say someone was afraid of rabbits, I wouldn't put like a picture of a rabbit on their computer when they weren't looking. I feel like that kind of messes with that person. It might be funny, you know, there might be some silly ways to do things, but I don't know that I would want to mess with, if someone's like truly not afraid, if someone's afraid of something, I don't think I would ever mess with that. Do you plan to one day play the campaign for North Africa? Never in a million years. Which is about how long the game would take. The Dice Tower is not buying Asmodee. On the flip side, Asmodee is not buying the Dice Tower. Should I have received anything from Royal Caribbean about the cruise? No, but a good thing I would mention, if you have any cruise questions, I can answer some, but Jason is extremely, I mean, if you email Jason at dicetower.com, he will load you up and tell you all the things with the cruise. I know he sent out an email already that explained everything. In fact, the initial email that he sent out was actually written by myself that we sent out, and he will explain all the different things that you will hear about the cruise. Have you ever tried Skyline Chili? Yeah, we just had it this past a few months ago. Yeah, maybe if I get another camera, I will put a camera on the back porch and do some more intros and outros to games out there. It is a nice setting out there. It's very hot though in the summer. Can you tell us a story from Korea where your sarcasm caused a funny miscommunication or some other loss in translation moments? I always tried not to be sarcastic to Korean folk when I was talking to them because I know that they're not going to understand it. It probably slipped through a few times, but I really tried not to do that because it's, you know, I'm sure it's happened. Has there been miscommunication? Probably, but I can't think of any stories off the top of my head. Have you ever done top 10 foods that get you in the mood for playing a game? Does eating sushi get you in the mood to play Sushi Go? I don't know that that's ever happened. Like eating something, I'm like, Now, possibly that's right. Like maybe if you eat a food while you're playing a game, have a great time, and when later on eating that food will trigger that. I know smell is really important for that, right? You'll smell something and it will bring back a memory of a place or a time that you've been at. Music has done. I'll hear a piece of music and it will make me think maybe of a game I was playing during that music. I don't know that food has ever done that, but that's an interesting idea. Tom, how come some people give you so much grief over being pro-family friendly themes and against horror gore themes? Well, I gotta be careful. There's themes that I'm okay with that some people are like, how could you be okay with that theme? I do find it weird when I say I don't like a theme and someone's like, oh, well, you're being, you're being a namby-pamby about these things, or they'll say, oh, your Christianity is what does it. And sometimes it's just because I think it's gross. Like, I don't feel like I have to, people are like, this is a beautiful miniature, and there's like blood and there's like guts pouring out and skulls or the thing. I don't think that's beautiful. In fact, I don't think skulls are beautiful. The people in Warhammer 40K are demented. And I've always been a little surprised that when I say, I don't like this because it's gross, people are like, it's just gross to me. And a lot of people feel that way, and I think it's worth pointing out. I saw on one of your live game events you have a large vinyl Champions of Midgard board. Is this available for order somewhere? I don't know. I know they were selling it at conventions. You'd have to look at their website and find out. Tom, I just finished watching Board Game Breakfast. Notably absent was Suzanne's Kickstarter segment. Was this just for the episode, or are you dropping this segment? No. It was just because timing and issues, and she went to the CMON Con, and so wasn't able to get the episode to me in time. It will be back next week for sure. Is it on my side, or is the audio quality down on your podcast lately? Well, I hope it's on your side. I haven't done any major difference on my audio podcast. I'm trying to record them as good as I possibly can. It's probably from my side, not Eric's, because Eric is amazing with his stuff. Have I ever interacted with Will Wheaton in conversation about board games, either casually or professionally? Only once. Jason won a Go Play Games with Will Wheaton, and he took me with him, and we went and played games, and that was the extent of that. I mean, we talked and played games, and he talked about all sorts of things. He talked about the Kings. He's a big fan of the hockey team, and a new tattoo he had just gotten at the time. And we talked about gaming a little bit, but it wasn't that in-depth, and that's really the only time I've conversed with him. I tried to get him on the podcast one time, so I emailed somebody rather, and I got an email back that just basically said, Mr. Wheaton does not do other people's podcasts, or something along that line. So I was like, oh, all right, it is what it is. Well, did I catch up on questions? That's cool. Let me just double check. I did. Nice. Yeah, someone mentioned Rising Sun. Some of the stuff, someone said they don't want to get the stuff painted in Rising Sun. I kind of agree, because the monsters look cool, but if you get them painted, like I saw Vernon's and I was like, oh. And then if you think that makes me any less in your eyes because I don't like that, I don't know what to tell you, but it's just a personal opinion. I just don't find like human corpses that interesting of a decor choice. Let's see. I look great today. Why? Thank you. But let's stop lying. Let's see what else we got here. What's your favorite Flux theme deck from Looney Labs? That would be Math Flux. Wow, people are already saying thanks and goodbye, and I haven't finished. But I'm almost finished. Would you like to see a Twin Peaks board game? I don't know. I've never watched Twin Peaks. I heard that it's super weird and strange, and that you don't even know what's going on half the time. Maybe I'll watch it at some point, but I don't know. Thoughts on solo gaming exploding? It's obviously driving sales. Why so late? I'm sure it's driving sales, but I don't know that it's exploding. Like when people say it's obviously driving sales, are you talking about like the solo games that are doing really well on Kickstarter? That's probably true. I mean, they're doing very well there, but I don't know that a lot of people are going into board game stores saying, I'm looking for a game I can play solo. However, I think solo gaming is certainly around, and a lot of people are playing it for sure. But why so late? I don't know. Most games aren't that interesting solo in the past. Have you ever been to a cattle auction? No, unless that's code for something else. Have you ever had to change or redact a review because of an error? Oh, yes, that's happened before. In fact, it just happened this past Saturday. I messed up on the Sakura arms. So, pretty big mess up. I went and read the rules, and I was like, wow, I've read these rules multiple times, and I totally missed something. So anyway, I pulled it down immediately. I'll go back and replay the game and get it back up again. I've done it before a few times. Although in this case, I am not convinced it's going to change my opinion on the game, but we'll have to wait and see. Did you eat Chick-fil-A when you were in Atlanta for the CMON-Con? No. I went to like some Joe's Famous Chicken restaurant or whatever. There was some really good chicken restaurant there that I went to that was really good. Also had shepherd's pie, which doesn't sound like it's an Atlanta thing. All right. Well, that's that. I think I'm going to end here, folks. I appreciate you guys watching, of course. Lots of things going on. Big news in the gaming industry all week. I'm sure they'll be announcing more stuff over the next couple of weeks. Thanks for asking questions. There's going to be lots of videos coming from the Dice Tower this week, of course. Check them out. A few went up today. Mostly will be coming up tomorrow and the next days. See some of you at the Geek Way to the west. Come hunt me down. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you'll be watching live Q&A on the Dice Tower. It doesn't smell like key lime. Huh?